Mesdames et messieurs, dear friends and colleagues, welcome back in the main hall for the next session, the Geneva Political Talks on Science Diplomacy. So the Science Diplomacy GPT. You remember our ministerial panel last year, where we had a clear idea of what a quantum institute could be. And we asked the ministers for guidance and protection. And they said, yes, this is a good approach. Probably the thinking is correct. Please go on, do elaborate, do incubate it. And here we are with an incubated Open Quantum Institute, ready to go. And the ministers are back to assess our year's work. So welcome, Messieurs et Madame les Ministres. We have today, upon the invitation of my Minister, Federal Councillor Ignacio Cassis, we have Madame Sarah bint Youssef Al-Amiri from the United Arab Emirates. She's the Minister of State for Public Education and Advanced Technology. We have Peter Starai, the State Secretary for Public Policy and Energy Security from Hungary. We have the Right Honourable Viscount Camrose, Minister for Artificial Intelligence and Intellectual Property of the United Kingdom. We have Emilia Stomenova-Du, the Minister for Digital and Transformation from Slovenia, who will be joining us by video message. The Director General of the United Nations Office here at Geneva, Tatiana Valovaya, is of course well known to us all. Then Yoshiro Matsumoto, the Science and Technology Advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Japan, and Patricia Gruber, Science and Technology Advisor to the Secretary of State of the USA. So there we have two science advisors that are very close to the political levels that join this ministerial discussion. And we have also Monsieur Joel Hernandez, the Subsecretary of Foreign Affairs from Mexico, who will send a video message. So, based on the discussion we have heard before, how the incubation has evolved and what it has produced, I would like to ask for the assessment by the ministers. And may I start with you, Minister Al-Amiri. In your portfolio, you have public education, but also advanced technology. And if I'm turning towards quantum technology specifically, which is our theme, can you tell us more about the importance of governance, as you see it, in the uptake of new technologies?
Thank you very much, State Secretary. And first, I'd like to thank GESDA for the remarkable efforts, together with a group of teams that have worked towards launching what we heard earlier today on the Open Quantum Institute. It truly is a milestone effort that it drives several factors forward. When it comes to public policy, in the domain of public policy, to encourage technology development, to ensure that technology is aligned with the requirements and the needs of society and for the betterment of the economy, there's various facets and various mechanisms to look at it from a perspective of governance. If we start with quantum computing, it is today at a state of continued development. It includes multiple areas of technology and science that require to be developed at utilizing various expertise and at different levels of maturity. An understanding of what potential it will unlock, but at the same time, a lack of understanding of how much potential it's going to create and how much opportunities it's going to create. With all these different factors in place, the following is a mechanism to govern. One, ensure that research institutions are able and supported to continue the advancement and development of this important field of computing. The second is to ensure that governance, that the regulations don't come in too early, and again, don't come in too late. And that's, of course, a very easy statement to make, but a very hard balance to ensure and assure to happen. Principles and an understanding of the benefits of quantum computing, at the same time, and a broad understanding of what negative implications it might include, needs to be well understood. A good mechanism and ethical value system that is adopted and adapted across research institutions and organizations that work on overarching development of quantum computing. And then down the line, to ensure diversity of implementation, governance globally through multilateral efforts need to ensure that we don't increase the technology gap between nations, and we don't increase the technology gap in terms of access to technology. The more complex technology gets, if we don't design into the process a mechanism to share the utilization of that technology, especially with quantum computing, it will be very difficult to reap the benefits of the outcomes of utilizing quantum computing, of what was discussed earlier in terms of the fields, in terms of healthcare and other fields where it will unlock great potential, and it will continue feeding into the technological divide and disparity that we see in the world.
Thank you very much, Minister. And your point on avoiding the gap, that is certainly something we heard all along during the incubation year, that countries, notably from the global south, said we do not only want access to quantum computing when it will be there, we want to be there with you in co-creating, co-developing it. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the Open Quantum Institute. Can I turn now to State Secretary Peter Sztáray? What can we learn from the Hungarian experience, the emerging technological applications that can be used? Because in Hungary, you focus on strengthening your competitiveness, promoting technological and scientific innovations, while ensuring sustainable growth and the creation of knowledge and improving of quality of life and well-being. And you are fairly advanced in those policies. What can we draw from your experience?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of this panel. First of all, I'd like to underline that Hungary has a long tradition of science and research. We have many Nobel laureates. This year, there were two Hungarians, actually, Katalin Karikó and Ferenc Krausz, who received Nobel Prize. And the present government puts a great emphasis on science and how science can support economy, our competitiveness, and science can also support our political decisions. So in that respect, it's very important that we have established a body which is called Hungarian Research Network, and that Hungarian Research Network coordinates all the activities of scientists, universities, institutes in the country. And we see the roots of that, actually. It's clear that if the decision makers, the parliament, the government, gives clear support for the scientists, then they have a much better situation to develop their own ideas and to be world-class researchers developing cutting-edge technologies and not only theories but also in practice. I'm not going into details on what kind of developments there are and what kind of scientific gains we have reached in the past few years, but it's clear that those governments which understand the importance of this area, I think they can be much more successful, and also in terms of our economic growth and economic development and progress, science is one of the top engines behind it. So in that respect, I'm just following with great interest the establishment of this institute. There are lots of questions, maybe we can return back to that later, how the security and the safety of this project can be assured, because there are many questions which we touched upon yesterday too. But as a baseline, our educational system and the cooperation with business and the government, I think, is very effective, and that's why Hungary is there in many projects in the world-class level.
Thank you very much. And I think what you say is exactly translating what we need to do. We need to build upon scientific excellence where it does exist, and then we need to expand it and develop it with the global talent. We need to bring the global quantum computing system to fruition. And so this combination of existing scientific excellence and bringing in the global talents from all over the world is what we try to do. Viscount Camrose, the United Kingdom was the first country in the world to develop a quantum national strategy, setting up a path for the economy to become a leading quantum-enabled economy, giving quantum computing a priority in your foreign policy. Could you share a few examples how you are trying to materialize those goals?
Yes, indeed. And good morning to everybody. I think the really important thing here, and this was back in 2014 when the UK put in place its quantum strategy, and the really important thing at a national level, I think, is to be structured and purposeful about how we go about doing that. And I think, you know, there's a strong sense of, okay, what is going to enable quantum success at a national level, and those are regulation, and really thinking very deeply about the regulatory landscape that has to come into existence, and it's about creating the skills, or either creating the skills at a national level by teaching them or by importing smart people from elsewhere to acquire those skills. And then what that then enables is first of all, private investment, business investment coming in on the back of that. And I'm pleased to say we've, I believe, now ranked second in the world in overseas investment coming into the United Kingdom on quantum. And of course, driving adoption. And adoption will happen when there are the right quantum products there and when people trust the technology. So, as I say, being very deliberate and putting all of those measures in place. But I think, you know, perhaps the final point I'd like to make is I would like to echo the importance made elsewhere about the importance of openness here. The breadth, the scale of quantum mean that it will never kind of sit within one country or even a group of countries. There may be national specializations in pockets, but it really is such a huge range of research areas, quantum, that I think everybody not only can play a part in quantum, but really needs to play a part in quantum for our shared future. So I think really a deeply exciting time on that front.
Thank you very much. And that again rings a bell when I hear you about the skills, the business investment, the adoption, the need to draw in globally talent and insight and science. That rings a bell in the sense that this is how the OQI was incubated, by bringing together the scientists, my world, our world of diplomacy and policy making, but then also the private sector and philanthropy and the civil society, so that we can precisely have this global approach and vision you are referring to. I think now is the moment to call in the contribution from Slovenia, and we have a video of Minister Emilia Stojmenova, and she is talking about how we can harness the potential of quantum computing and artificial intelligence to address the complex challenges facing society, and especially the challenges that come with the SDGs, or our ambition to attain the SDGs.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear participants, it is my great honor and pleasure to address you at this year's Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipation Summit. Today, we are facing extraordinary challenges and transformation of the world's economic, environmental, and social systems. More than ever, it is important how we use scientific breakthroughs and emerging technologies in order to improve the efficiency of work and quality of the lives of our citizens. Digital transformation has become a key driver of development. The share of solutions, services, processes, products, and business models based on digital technologies is increasing every day. Governments and industries see quantum computing as a strategic advantage for gaining a competitive edge in various fields. Quantum computing holds the potential to exponentially enhance AI capabilities. Therefore, enhanced collaboration between quantum physicists, AI experts, and computer scientists is vital for realizing the full potential of quantum AI convergence. In Slovenia, we promote a human-centric approach to development and use of trustworthy AI that ensures well-being of people and the society, with a special commitment to preserving the national language and cultural identity. Our goal is to build AI systems that prioritize human well-being, which demands robust legal and ethical frameworks, clear governance, and common international standards. Advancements in generative AI systems, such as large language models, which bring immersive potential, present pressing concerns regarding their impact on democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. The spread of disinformation, misinformation, criminal and misleading content in the form of deepfakes and targeted information campaigns is thus becoming the first-class political question about the future development of our society. As quantum computing progresses, ensuring the security of AI systems and data becomes increasingly challenging and demands new methods and strategies. Therefore, effective governance mechanisms at the international level by the European Union, United Nations, OECD, the Council of Europe, and other international organizations are needed to address these global AI challenges and opportunities together. Also, we should not forget the importance of sustainability of new technologies. Low energy consumption and the need for equitable access to these technologies should go hand in hand with preserving the environment and reaching sustainable development goals. Furthermore, having a skilled workforce that can navigate quantum AI complexities is essential. Widespread accessibility of knowledge, technologies, and solutions need to be our priority in order to speed up the learning curve in research and the economy. We need interdisciplinarity of formal education and lifelong digital literacy. Europe has a long tradition of excellence in AI and quantum research. The European Union AI Act ensures that AI systems are safe and compliant with fundamental values, while promoting innovation and investment in artificial intelligence. The European Union Quantum Technologies flagship, launched in 2018, brings together research institutions, industry, and public funders. As part of the European High-Performance Computing Joint Undertaking, the Commission is now building a state-of-the-art pilot quantum that will act as accelerators interconnected with supercomputers, forming hybrid machines that blend the best of quantum and classical computing technologies. Slovenia is a member of the Euro-HPS supercomputing initiative, which highlights our dedication to quantum technologies. We also host the Vega supercomputer that is part of the European Supercomputing Infrastructure Network. With more than 40 years of research experience and more than 30 years of higher education experience in the field of artificial intelligence, we are willing to contribute our share in the search for solutions for the most pressing challenges of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about quantum computing and artificial intelligence, we should address challenges together in order to harness the transformative potential of these technologies while upholding ethical standards, security, and accessibility for all, and contributing to the sustainable development goals of our countries. I firmly believe that international collaboration and governance are crucial for achieving these goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for this input and guidance. And can I stress that some of the institutions the Minister mentioned have been involved in the incubation of the Open Quantum Institute. And when the Minister talks about this human-centered approach we need to have when we deal with technology and its further development, then I think that leads back to basically to the human rights approach of what we're doing, Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, that science must benefit everybody. And this is what we try to do. And by doing it concretely, we try to inform and influence the global governance mechanisms that should provide for such an approach. I would like now to turn to Director General Valovaya. Director General, you are a diplomat and a scientist, so you have a keen sense of how the science and technology can contribute and provide opportunities for the advancement of the Sustainable Development Goal agenda and for all the aspirations the Secretary General had set forth in his document, Our Common Agenda. How do you see these technological advancements fueling our activity on the multilateral and UN stage?
Well, the obvious answer is that technology would allow us really to achieve sustainable development goals. But that's the obvious answer and very easy, because at the same time we have to say that our future and the success of sustainable development goals depends on technologies and on science. Even more, what we see now in the world tells us that the world is going via global transformation, that the world is going to a new social economic paradigm. And in human history, you called me a scientist. Well, here in CERN, I can't accept this title. I'm not a scientist, though I'm professor of economy. So I was really very well specialized in social sciences, economic sciences. And from this point of view, we can see that humanity has been going via all these global transformations many times before. And they were always driven, provoked by the change and revolutions in technologies. We all speak about industrial revolution, but there were pre-industrial revolutions, there were agricultural revolutions, and they always produced great major societal changes in our life. So we now go via similar transformation. At the same time, we know from the history that unfortunately all these great transformations are also accompanied by great challenges. Revolutions, social unrest, global conflicts, revolts, growing inequalities between regions, rise and fall of the empires of nations. We now understand this. Can we mitigate the negative sides of this development? And can we do better than our predecessors? And I'm sure we can. Because before, all these transformations were also prepared by great thinkers. We are here next to the home of Voltaire, next to the home of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who inspired the great transformation of the 18th century. But now we have not only thinkers, we do have politicians with a vision, but we also have our roadmap to this new social and economic paradigm, and this roadmap are exactly Sustainable Development Goals. For the first time in history, the humanity does have a roadmap to the next social and economic paradigm. And we also understand that what we need now to implement this, but also to understand how we can have more global governance and more multilateral cooperation when we really harness the use of the technologies. That's why in our common agenda, Secretary General speaks about it. That's why preparing Summit of the Future in 2024, we're really working on many things which we could discuss and decide on, including Global Data Compact. So we understand that in order to avoid the repetition of the mistakes of the past, we really need to have open access to science. We need to mitigate negative consequences on our social and economic development, and really to make science work for all. And as you said, it's very important to remember our values and principles, which we have in the United Nations Charter, which we have in Universal Declarations of Human Rights. They should be something driving this multilateral governance when we talk about new science and technological development.
Thank you very much, Director General. And I'm sure that GESDA and all the partners of GESDA, this community of anticipatory science diplomacy we have now built up here in Geneva, will be able to fruitfully contribute to the summit for the future next year and position Geneva as one of the main centers of global governance of the 21st century. And I would like to thank you for your guidance and protection for those efforts here in Geneva. Professor Matsumoto, you have an impressive academic background. You have been leading salient efforts to connect science and technology and policy making and action. And could you explain how Japan is relying on scientific and technological advancements to lead an inclusive, collaborative, sustainable development agenda domestically, but then especially also on a global and an international and global level?
Yeah, firstly, thank you very much for your so kind introduction for me and inviting here. And Japan has science and technology basic plan. It is formulated every 5 years. Recently we add innovation, and so that now we are running science, technology, and innovation basic plan. In that plan, we are thinking it should be a human-centric plan, and we are advocating the concept of society 5.0. And so maybe how to calculate the levels, but now it must be a human-centric society, and maybe we are thinking economic development and the solution to societal issues by highly integrating cyberspace and physical space and incorporating advanced technology into all industries and social life. And I mean, cyber physical integration is, we sometimes we call it digital twin. And it's maybe observation of our society and simulating our society, and many things we can think about that direction. And maybe quantum computing is most important things for digital twin, I think. And so that AI, quantum and biotechnology, cutting edge fundamental technology, that will affect all scientific and technological innovation that toward to the society 5.0. And other things, and just add the brain circulation. And the key to solve global issue and achieving SDGs. and is human resources development and cooperation of those human resources beyond their field. So that we had G7 Science and Technology Ministers meeting in Sendai last May. And that communique mentioned the promotion of international talent mobility and circulation. Last week, Japan's Prime Minister Kishida also emphasized that the importance of international brain circulation at the SDS Forum in Kyoto, Japan. And so that the international joint program or those human circulation, how to circulate those peoples must be most important things all over the world, I suppose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. And when you talk about brain circulation, that, of course, is all the question of the mobility of scientists, of the international cooperation of science, which is a necessary condition for the excellence of science. And all we're doing here with GESDA is build upon excellence. We need excellent science so that we can use it for the advancement of a good and just and equitable global order. So we must be very attentive that science remains open and collaborative on an international scale. I would like now to announce the next video message. It comes from Joel Hernandez in Mexico. He is the Undersecretary of Foreign Affairs. And Ambassador Hernandez will share with us some reflections on the opportunities presented by emerging technologies, notably quantum computing, and Mexico's pioneering views on strengthening the link between science and diplomacy as a pillar of foreign policy and multilateral action.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address you during this memorable occasion, 2023 Summit of the Geneva Science and Diplomacy in Tisperu. Today, I have the privilege of representing Mexico and speak to you to share how our country harnessed the profound potential of scientific breakthroughs and emerging technologies to fulfill our foreign policy objectives. The GESDA Operations Project has served as a dynamic platform for nurturing dialogue and addressing the challenges presented by emerging technologies and scientific revolutions. GESDA's pioneering multidisciplinary approach, which unites experts from diverse domains, delves into critical realms such as quantum revolutions, artificial intelligence, and eco-regeneration. This comprehensive approach seamlessly aligns with Mexico's overarching foreign policy vision, where the convergence of science and diplomacy holds an integral role. Our commitment to the realm of science diplomacy is steadfast, underpinned by our firm belief in the game-changing potential of scientific knowledge. To this end, Mexico has taken pioneering strides, maintaining a roster of eminent scientists and experts across various fields of science and technology. These esteemed individuals are not only advisors, they are instrumental actors in shaping Mexico's stance within the complex landscape of multilateral fora. Through their expertise, we ensure that our participation is not just well-informed, but deeply rooted in the latest scientific advancements. This commitment underscores the paramount importance we attach to the synergy between science and diplomacy in the international arena. As a testimony to our unwavering dedication to this cause, I'm delighted to share that Mexico, acting as the voice of the global scientific community, proposed the initiative to declare 2025 as the International Year for Quantum Sciences and Technologies. This visionary initiative garnered widespread support, leading to its unanimous adoption at the Executive Council of UNESCO this year. We eagerly anticipate in-depth discussions on this groundbreaking initiative at the UNESCO General Conference in November. The 2023 Summit of GESDA represents a cornerstone of multilateral collaboration, uniting over 100 stakeholders spanning from academic, political, and diplomatic backgrounds, and promises to be an exceptional platform for dialogue, innovation, and shared solutions. In conclusion, Mexico's dedication to science diplomacy remains resolute, fueled by the firm belief that it holds the key to a brighter future for humanity. Hand in hand with our esteemed partners at GESDA, we will continue to harness the formidable synergy of science and diplomacy to anticipate, address, and overcome the most intricate global challenges. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Undersecretary. And when you speak about the unwavering dedication of Mexico for science diplomacy, I can really confirm that. Mexico has been an early mover when we began our outreach into the diplomatic community for the incubation phase of the OQI, and has been, together with the 20+ countries that have worked with us, a very active partner and member. I would like now to turn to Dr. Patricia Gruber from the United States. You have a long experience in engaging with academic and private sector research communities to inform foreign policy priorities and to promote international science and technology collaboration. And how do you see the role of science and diplomacy working together to ensure that new technological developments can be shared and used for the advancement of the Sustainable Development Goals and good global governance?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you today. In my previous government jobs, I worked at a funding agency, and in particular, I oversaw our international science program for the US Navy. And we were out looking for, this is predicated on the understanding that there are brilliant minds all around the world, and there's great science going on in a lot of places. And so we were looking for good, promising research to fund. But that was really only half of our job. We weren't really fulfilling our mission unless we took those researchers that we were funding and connecting them back to the US research enterprise. And again, this is really about building that international collaboration and an ecosystem where free flow of ideas can really help accelerate the S&T community. So the role of government, however, goes well beyond just funding research, right? It really is about trying to create the rules of the road, if you will, and the principles, thinking about how do we make sure that as technology evolves, that it is going to be available, it's going to be inclusive, it's going to be safe for users, it considers human rights, and so on. And so now I'm in a position which is interesting because it's trying to take that belief and understanding about how science and technology can do great things, given that flexibility and that freedom, and at what point does diplomacy and governance have to step in? And that's a challenge, right? Because you want to create those principles and the guidelines, but you need to do that without stifling innovation. So I really have to give a shout out to GESDA for this sort of forum. It is wonderful to see the science and technology community recognizing that they need to be engaged more with diplomats and diplomacy and governance, and also, the openness to have that kind of exchange. So I appreciate that. This is a really interesting point, I think, in particular for quantum technologies. We're in a place where we as governments aren't going to be playing catch up. In other words, we're actually already engaged kind of at just the right point to start thinking about how do we put in place the governance and the guidelines and the principles. So let me chat a little bit about how we're doing this in the US. We've been funding quantum information sciences across the US agencies for probably well over 10 years at multiple places like the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes for Standards and Technology, the Department of Defense. About 5 years ago, we created the National Quantum Initiative Act, and that really established a cross-agency coordinating bodies to bring those agencies together and really unite them towards kind of moving the technology forward in a common way. And by the way, this does not always happen in the US, okay? We don't always have that kind of collaboration across our agencies. So I think that's just an indication of the recognition of how really monumental and important this technology space is going to be. We've also engaged industry because, of course, they are also huge funders of technology and in particular have very focused on quantum to create the Quantum Economic Development Consortium, and that's an industry-led, it sits in the Department of Commerce, but it's an industry-led consortium to look at, again, exchanging ideas, identifying future supply chains, and building domestic and international partnerships. I like the 4As, and in particular, you know, that's the other benefit of government funding, right? I'm a beneficiary of that. We are educating and developing the next generation of scientists. And so in terms of workforce development, these investments go into that. But the US also participates in the Entanglement Exchange, along with Switzerland, I might add, which is essentially a forum where people can, scientists working in the field can look for exchange opportunities for researchers and students, again, trying to create that, you know, cross-border or borderless communication through the scientific community. Finally, I guess I would comment that the US also has been a big supporter of the OECD Global Tech Forum, which is really looking at how do we build that sustainable development opportunity that is inclusive, rights-based, and so on. I'm an optimist. I personally look forward to 10 years from now, looking back and saying, you know what, the governments and the ministries around the world got it right on quantum, and we're in a good place.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that optimistic note. And as you spoke, I did realize that how strong the United States have been supporters and friends of the GESDA project on all the different stages of through government, industry, civil society. So all the stakeholders that are involved and work in GESDA, certainly the United States with other countries, was with us on the whole front of all the different stakeholder pillars or families, if I can call them so. So now is the moment I would like to turn to my Lord and Master, Federal Councillor Ignacio Cassis, what are the comments that are provoked by when you hear what your colleagues are telling us after 1 year of incubation of the OQI?
Thank you, Alexander. I'll try to be as short and as precise as I can. I noticed 5 points from what it has been said, from the very interesting comments and from my colleagues. If I should get back this evening and maybe visit my mom, and she will ask me, so what did you do today in Geneva? So I would ask her, listen, Mom, we are in front of a new revolution, and like by other revolutions of the past, the Gutenberg revolution of the press, of the media, or the motor engine revolution of the 19th century, well, we actually don't know exactly how to deal with that, how to prepare for that. And we have gathered in Geneva to discuss about that. And this new revolution is about powerful technologies based on physics. And what we are trying to do is metaphysics, being above the physics and try to control and give them some ethical principles, some some ways of putting it into practice. I noticed this very good sentence from the representative of India in the last session. She said, well, what we want the Open Quantum Institute to be is the umbrella of the quantum national strategies. This seems to me a very good summary of what we are trying to do. What it is about? It is about these 4A. Of course, you can read them, and just by the name, accelerating access, advancing, and activation. Acceleration, it's about enabling the future. Since we cannot predict exactly the future, we can enable it. Access, we learned, lessons learned, digital divide. We have to avoid a quantum divide. Third, advancing, ways to explore use cases and putting quantum technologies into practice in these use cases in order to give an outlook of what it is about. And fourth, maximizing the chances while minimizing the risks of the technology. It is all about activation and multilateralism. And last but not least, what we are trying to do, ma'am, and it is because I was in Geneva, it is working in Geneva in the ecosystem of the multilateral organization, of the NGOs, of the industrial and private sector organization who are based here in Geneva. And this is the reason why here. I'm not sure she would understand everything I would have told her this evening, but somewhat a little idea of the reason why I've passed my day in Geneva. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup, thank you. I would like now to open the discussion amongst the ministers. Are there observations you would like to make? Peter, please.
Yeah, thank you. I also prepared to talk about how Hungary is reaching the SDG goals and what we are doing, but I'd like to draw your attention to two challenges here. One is that we are against politicizing science. I think that should be a baseline for everybody. And there are many entities who are working for politicizing science. And this is not the right direction. Because if you politicize science, you will exclude many important players on the one hand, and you will increase the gap between the different regions in the world. So this is one challenge that we want to tackle, and in the present global political situation, it is not easy to handle that. The second one is linked to the first one, and this is about the openness of the Institute. I think it's a very noble approach to assure openness to all scientists to such a quantum institute. It's very important because that could help our goal to elevate those regions and those countries who are a little bit lagging behind, and on the other hand, have all the knowledge from all the different parts of the world brought together and accumulate that knowledge together to reach scientific goals. But at the same time, there's also a risk with that this kind of state-of-the-art technology can fall into the hands of the bad guys also. And the question is how we can tackle the dichotomy of openness on the one hand and of security and safety on the other hand. And I think, I'm sure you are dealing with that, but as a politician and as a diplomat, my concern would be that we develop here lots of very important technological and scientific results, and then this can be misused by some players. So the question is how we can tackle that.
Thank you very much. And that's, of course, a very precise and good point. And some of the countries that were involved in our work during the incubation phase were there with that particular focus, indeed. And I think as the report on the governance of quantum that has been launched today shows, that is something which was really taken into account. Can I ask other comments? Otherwise, oh, Jonathan.
Yes, an observation, I think, about GESDA and quantum at this point. I was reflecting overnight that, you know, as a species, we've been waiting for the arrival of artificial intelligence since the Dartmouth conference, I believe 1957, correct me if I'm wrong, waiting, and then suddenly this year it sort of suddenly sprung on us like a great surprise, and we find ourselves scrambling to find ways diplomatically and scientifically to implement the right regulations. And this does not reflect terribly well on us as a species, I think. We can correct this with GESDA. I think with quantum coming, we are getting ahead of quantum regulation at the right moment. And this leaves me, just my observation, deeply optimistic that quantum regulation can really show the way forward for all of us as to how we get ahead diplomatically, politically, of the wave of coming changes driven by scientific research that are coming upon us now.
Thank you very much. I would propose that in reverse order, starting with Dr. Gruber, I ask for a final statement. As we are launching the OQI together and releasing it into a 3-year pilot phase, what is your advice, your request, your guidance you would give to the OQI?
So, as I said, the challenge for diplomacy and governance is knowing when to engage and how to engage. And I really think, to the Viscount's point, on AI, we're a little slow to the game, but this time I think we are at just the right point with regards to quantum. It's challenging because the job is never done, right? Technology changes, people change, government, people in power change. It requires a constant and adaptive dialogue. And so, you really have to just be vigilant and continue that discussion between the science and technology community and public policy, as well as, the other thing I should have mentioned in my other comments is making sure, and this is an emphasis in the US and our National Quantum Initiative, it's making sure that the technology is focused on for the SDG goals, right? If you keep the goals in mind, that certainly can help you draw a roadmap and understand what needs to be done.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask the question to all the panelists. Professor.
Yeah. And I'd like say some of my experience to how to encourage the people in the kind of SDGs, something like that. And I'm running a program, co-creation in between industry, academia, and the government. And we call it the Center of Innovation Next program. And the program set forth a vision of ideal future society based on the SDGs and promote science and research and development that contribute to the innovation through backcasting. It's almost have the same idea about the GESDA's breakthrough radar. And maybe we can then anticipate what will happen if we pushing AI or something. And we should carefully observe what will happen. And it's similar to, what should I say, clinical trial for our medical things. And we can utilize that kind of technology or method to be what should I say, peaceful world. And maybe just thinking something, it's not enough. So that I said digital twin is coming very important. Careful, very careful observation of our world and simulate or some directions and the simulation, the combination of observation and simulation. Coupling those, we can make a better future of our world. And it's not so easy, I'm sure. But making such kind of experiment in many stages, and so that we can find good solution of a difficult world. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,
Director General, your guidance, please.
well, it's not guidance, it's the expectation. I think you could help us, diplomatic and multilateral community, to become more proactive in determining the spheres where we need more global governance, where we need more global conventions, more global code of conduct, etc. What's interesting now? Well, we have ChatGPT, we have really artificial intelligence appearing, and the authors who really contributed to develop of artificial intelligence write a letter. Please stop for the time being, let's discuss. Or recently, quite last week, I read somewhere that authors of new technologies of solar engineering, which in principle can allow to dim the sunlight and to influence the weather and the climate, are already writing another letter. Please stop, let's discuss. We really have scientists understanding both benefits but also potential risks, unless there is a global agreement of the whole humanity how to harness these new technologies. So I really think that GESDA will help diplomatic community to be one step ahead.
Thank you. Jonathan.
I would like to just close on a message of really strong support for the work, for the direction of the OQI. I think maybe there's always a tension with any new field of scientific discovery between the desire to keep it secret and to keep it open. I think openness in quantum is absolutely so important, and I would like to steal a phrase that I understood was used on stage yesterday, so apologies if whoever invented it is in the room. But in answer to the question, how open should quantum be? As open as possible, as secure as necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe one more point, and this is about the regulation of the domain of AI and quantum. I think this will become more and more a primary question, how we can regulate globally these domains without over-regulating them. And what I see is that there's a lot of work going on parallel in different international organizations like the EU, the UN, the Council of Europe, and maybe elsewhere. And there's also work on national legislations. And I think your institute may have an important role in not coordinating, but in contributing to that debate and to that work, and somehow try to bring together all the players, share your experience, and foster the regulation of the area. This is one of the areas where I think you may have some important role beyond your research activities.
Thank you. Mr. Alamari.
Thank you. In terms of the Open Quantum Institute, I think the massive effort that has gone over the course of last year is bringing together and identifying exactly what direction and mechanism of utilization of quantum technology. Now, if we're talking about the next 3 years, what needs to happen is to cascade this platform down into informed levels of influence on both the political sphere, along with technological advancement, and also together with policymaking to ensure that not only are we advancing the technology, we are providing the necessary utilizations and applications that will run on that technology, the uses of the technology, and then again, expanding the sphere of influence when it comes to when governance needs to come into play, how to ensure disparity is not built into the system, and how to ensure that the scope of influence of this technology cascades down across sectors and does not widen the divide.
Merci beaucoup. Federal Councillor.
Just 2 words. It is fascinating to be at the forefront of a new way and not knowing exactly where we want to land at the end of the way, but knowing that it is important to be here to discuss together and to prepare the way. And I guess we couldn't find a better place than the CERN and than Geneva for that, because it is exactly where science meets diplomacy and diplomacy meets science that we can really have and produce the best ideas. So thank you all for joining Geneva, for attending this meeting, and I hope again that you will be persuaded about the necessity to work together on this future we are trying to shape together. Thank you so much.
In concluding, may I thank the ministers wholeheartedly for their presence, interest, guidance, protection over the years of that project. And I think I speak for all the participants in the project, be they scientists, diplomats, individuals, business people, industrialists, philanthropists, how gratifying and encouraging this panel was and your comments were. What you said 1 year ago, what you say now resounds, is what we try to achieve, and I think we're approximately there where we need to go. So the direction is the right one. And also your guidance now you give us for the further journey is very useful as we congregate to further nurture this shared sense of purpose around quantum computing for all. Merci beaucoup de votre intérêt et bonne suite. Merci.